But you're an ambassador with the FIA Girls on Track community, which was Dare to Be Different, set up by Susie Wolf. I am part of that community,
Oh, cool.
and it really sort of inspired me to become a writer. And I actually went to Silverstone, met Susie Wolf, and met Louise Goodman, and met loads of other women who really wanted to get into the motorsport community. But with you being an ambassador, what do you do to actively sort of influence women and young girls to get into motorsport, whether they want to be a driver or whether they want to get into your example?
Well, I think I don't really do anything sort of over and above anybody else. I think I just try and, we're so spoilt now with social media to give a little window on all of our world. So I try and just show what I'm up to, and whether that is presenting or commentating, or whether in the last few years being at track, just to kind of show what I'm up to hopefully show people who are browsing social media or kind of looking around to see who's in the world of Formula One and motorsport, just to see what's possible and what you can do, and whether they see that as, oh look, there's a woman doing that, or whether they just see like, oh, that's a potential career opportunity or something that I could look into, whatever gender, however you identify, then that's cool, just to kind of shine a light on the job option. Because I definitely don't think what I do now was something that my careers advisor at uni or my teachers at school ever mentioned. I don't think it was something, well, perhaps it was something you knew was something people were doing, but you would never be like, cool, and I'll just go and do that. So I like kind of just showing what I'm up to, and hopefully that's a way of informing people a bit.
You're listening to the Cut to the Race podcast. It's lights out and away we go.
Oh my goodness me! Oh God!
We are recording. Hello and welcome to the Cut to the Race podcast. It is another Wednesday recording today. It is Wednesday the 28th of April. Last week we had Michael Italiano on the podcast. We've had loads of good feedback about that. We're glad you guys enjoyed that. But we are back today with another special guest. But before we introduce her, we have Callum on the show. How are you, Cal?
I'm good, mate. I didn't have a power cut before the show this time, so it's already going better than last time, isn't it?
It is. And we also have Emma. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Hopefully my internet remains stable for the rest of this podcast, but we'll see.
It's all right. As long as you freeze while you're smiling and not pulling a strange face,
Yeah.
that's all right. And we have a special guest by the name of Rosanna Tennant. How are you?
Hi guys, yeah, really well, thank you. I'm nervous that I'm following Michael. I don't have any fitness tips or healthy eating things to share with you all. I should have prepped something.
Well, that's fine because we did all of that last week. I think last week I was guaranteed to go on diets and all sorts, but yeah, it's already out the window, so don't worry about that.
Okay, phew.
For our listeners who don't know who you are, can you describe yourself in one sentence for me?
One sentence. Okay, so I am the very tall commentator and presenter in Formula One, and I work for Formula One, sometimes at track, but because we live in a very weird world at the moment, I'm based at Formula One's headquarters in Biggin Hill in the United Kingdom.
Amazing. And some people may know you from your role with Mercedes?
Yes, so I do a little bit with Mercedes on the side. So I work with an amazing group of people, both at the team and then at another company to help them with their video content. But I'm very much a sort of extra pair of hands now. I used to be very, very involved, but just because there's quite a lot going on day to day for me, there's an amazing team that kind of take care of it. Cameramen and women, editors, graphic designers, both at the team and at the company that I work with. So yeah, you're right. Mercedes as well.
Awesome. So you're actually no stranger to podcasting, are you? So you work on the F1 Nation podcast, which, by the way, we are not endorsing. This one is, no, I'm only joking. It's a great podcast. What's it like working on there, sort of, well, compared to this one that we're doing here?
Well, this is great. I feel very relaxed. So during lockdown, I worked on F1 Nation. This year, the wonderful Tom Clarkson, Natalie Pinkham, and Damon Hill are doing it. But last year, I was treated to working with Alex Jakes and Tom Clarkson. And yeah, it was great. They used to set me a challenge, like a sort of Rosanna challenge Rosanna even. And I'd have to kind of get a driver on the phone, make them say a funny word or reveal a secret. I think with like Alan Prost, I was trying to get him to say professor. But yeah, it was all a bit obvious, I think. So yeah, I was always nervous on the podcast, whereas with this, it's nice. It's like having a chat with some friends. So I was always kind of worrying that I wasn't going to fulfill the challenge and that Alex and Tom would tell me off for not doing a good job.
So here at the Formula Nerds, we're passionate about women in motorsport. How did it feel to lead the first all-female Formula One commentary team on F1's pit lane channel?
Yeah, it was quite cool. And it actually was back in July last year with Alice Powell and Jakesy, Alex Jakes, I'm sure you all know him. He had been asking me to sit in on some of the sessions just to get a feel for commentary. And it was never something that I'd kind of thought well, to be blunt, wanted to do, thought I could do, or would ever be asked to do. So he's like, why don't you come in, mate, on like an FP3 session? You can do half an hour, 15 minutes, 10 minutes. Like he was selling it into me. And I did a couple of sessions. And then he was like, why don't you do this weekend's one with Alice? And Jakes was like, I'm going to go have a Diet Coke and you guys can do it together. And by the way, I think this might be the first all-female commentary box ever. Cool, okay, bye. So it's like, oh my goodness. So I didn't really have much time to kind of get my head around it. And Alice is super professional, obviously amazing driver coach. She's a fabulous commentator, and we're going to have her in the commentary box for Pit Lane Channel throughout 2021 as well, which will be great here and there. So yeah, it was quite cool opening up. I mean, because it wasn't my normal role as a commentator, it was all a bit new. So I was nervous about doing a good job just in terms of like commentating and holding the broadcast together. And then, yeah, just super proud that the two of us were doing it. And yeah, since then I've been very honoured to call the first start. I think it's the first start called by a woman. I don't know. I mean, who's counting these records? But I think it's a bit of a new thing for a woman to be commentating on F1 and calling qualifying and the race start. So it's a new thing, and it's quite a nerve-wracking thing. But hopefully, 23 races to practice. By Christmas, I should be great.
To be honest, like when I was watching practice and I heard Natalie Pinkham's voice commentating on practice, I was like, this is just absolutely amazing just to hear a woman's voice commentating over Formula One practice. And I just thought the next thing we need to get some female Formula One drivers into the car. That's the next step. But you're an ambassador with the FIA Girls on Track community, which was Dare to Be Different, set up by Susie Wolf. I am part of that community.
Oh, cool.
And it really sort of inspired me to become a writer. And I actually went to Silverstone, met Susie Wolf and met Louise Goodman and met loads of other women who really wanted to get into the motorsport community. But with you being an ambassador, what do you do to actively sort of influence women and young girls to get into motorsport, whether they want to be a driver or whether they want to get into your example?
Well, I think I don't really do anything sort of over and above anybody else. I think I just try and, we're so spoilt now with social media to give a little window on all of our world. So I try and just show what I'm up to and, whether that is presenting or commentating or whether, in the last few years being at track, just to kind of show what I'm up to hopefully show people who are browsing social media or kind of looking around to see who's in the world of Formula One and motorsport, just to see what's possible and what you can do, and whether they see that as, oh look, there's a woman doing that, or whether they just see like, oh, that's a potential career opportunity or something that I could look into, whatever gender, however you identify, then that's cool, just to kind of shine a light on the job option, because I definitely don't think what I do now was something that my careers advisor at uni or my teachers at school ever mentioned. I don't think it was something, well, perhaps it was something you knew was something people were doing, but you would never be like, cool, and I'll just go and do that. So yeah, just I like kind of just showing what I'm up to, and hopefully that's a way of informing people a bit. The Dare to Be Different kind of initiative it was obviously easy to kind of get involved and go and take part in the days that we put on for the students. And I absolutely love the fact that, you know, Dare to Be Different Now Girls on Track UK has inspired you to write, because I always found that, you know, we're helping very young girls, slightly older girls, adolescents. And I always loved at the end of the day, you sort of felt that the girls felt a little bit more empowered, a bit more confident, shoulders back. And you sort of do hope that you plant a little seed, whether that's in the media workshop with me, or whether it's karting out on track when we were at kart tracks, or, you know, even doing CPR, and someone, you know, one of the girls may have gone away being like, gosh, I think I'd like to be a doctor or a nurse or a physio or whatever it might be. So it's just like those little seeds that just hopefully will germinate, and, as you say, kind of inspire people. So I wouldn't say I'm doing anything extraordinary. And of course, it actually feels a little bit annoying, because I feel a little bit like my wings have been clipped over the last sort of 15 months to be able to do a lot more, because we haven't been able to do events. But we've done a few online webinars, a few interviews of people in the community, and so hopefully that's helped a little bit. But yeah, I think it's just continually showcasing what everyone's up to, and also championing other people. You know, it's very easy to put up a picture of yourself on social media, but it's also to, even if it's a simple like or a share or whatever it might be, of what other people are up to in the motorsport space. And that can be as a female, male, doesn't matter, like just almost kind of getting behind everybody and supporting everybody and what they're up to.
So you've also done some work in tennis. You worked with Wimbledon. Can you just tell me what's it like going from tennis to Formula One? I mean, they're quite different. And also, Rosanna, where does your heart lie? Is it tennis or Formula One?
Oh, my heart lies just in chatting to people. So actually that helps a little bit with the transition between different sports. I love just kind of helping tell people's story, getting the best out of them, asking them questions, finding out what makes them tick, you know, why it was a difficult day in the office, in inverted commas, why it was so great, and like trying to get them to convey their emotions. So I feel very lucky to be that sort of conduit between these amazing sportsmen and women and fans at home who perhaps haven't been able to get a ticket or haven't been able to be there. So that's the kind of thing that helps me kind of go between. So where does my heart lie? I think that's like a very diplomatic way of saying that. Tennis, I really enjoyed. I had the dramatic like juxtaposition was I flew back from Austria on the Sunday night, had to be at Wimbledon, I think at sort of 7:30 in the morning on the Monday morning. So yeah, it was quite a change of pace, as it were. But yeah, really cool. It was my first ever time working at Wimbledon. I'd only ever been as a fan a couple of times. And you suddenly start like double guessing or double checking yourself. You're like, hang on, how do you score this game again? Not that I was obviously doing any of the scoring, but they go like, Rosanna, we're going to come down to you at court number 3. Can you just give a quick sort of summary of what's happened? And you start to realize that when you sit on your sofa at home watching tennis or whatever it might be, you kind of just let it wash over you. But if you have to report on what just happened, I was like, did he win that last point with an ace, or was it a really good shot to, oh gosh, help, don't come to me yet, don't come to me yet. So yeah, you start like thinking, I don't know if I even know how this sport works.
Federer's on pole, is he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, mixing all my metaphors. So yeah, it's fun though to do something, you know, so spoiled to have the opportunity to work at somewhere like Wimbledon, which is just super prestigious and an incredible championship. But yeah, also really weird because obviously I was only a 2-week championships, obviously, but I couldn't do all of it because I had Austria, but very different to a long season over a year where loads of different storylines play out, whereas it's super condensed, obviously, with something like the tennis. So yeah, it's all different, but it's all good. And I think all these different opportunities, you know, help in a way of, you know, just gaining more experience even for me. So yeah. I tripped over a Pimm's can actually when they threw down to me at one point, and it just like rattled along the floor, and they're like, what was that? It's like, just a Pimm's can, just a Pimm's can. I was like, oh my God.
Your bow.
Yeah, I was like, just gotta say it as I see it. It was good practice in my commentary. I was like, just say what's happening, just paint the picture. Paint the picture for everyone at home, because obviously that was radio, so I really had to do painting the picture. But yeah, I was like, oh gosh, they're gonna think I'm an old soak tripping over a Pimm's can. I am working, I promise, producer. Yeah.
Oh, I should imagine when you're working for F1, you have to remain impartial to teams and drivers. But when the cameras aren't rolling,
Mm.
who are you secretly sort of giving a little fist pump to when they cross the line in first place? Who do you want to win?
More like, gosh, if they do well and the cameras are going to the factory on Monday or Tuesday to record it, I'm like, yes, they're going to get some great content, or it might, that helps us. So it's more that obviously I have closer contact with the Mercedes team, so it's more that if everyone's in jolly spirits on a Monday or a Tuesday at the race debrief, I know our content's going to be great. So yeah, that always helps. But also just kind of, I'm sure everyone kind of, you saw Lando Norris on the podium last time. Even if you're not a McLaren fan, you could see how much it meant to their team. You could see how much it meant to Red Bull getting the win over Mercedes. I don't know. So each time you can kind of just, you feed off all those smiles and the cheering that each of the teams kind of does at the end of every race. So yeah, it's just lovely, isn't it, watching everyone kind of be successful, and also new faces on the podium, which is even more exciting. So yeah.
So you do quite a number of different things through a Formula One race weekend. So just talk me through how you actually go about planning that, because I'd imagine there's a lot to do. So how do you just manage your time planning the whole race weekend with all the sort of different jobs and different things that you've got to do?
It's a very, very good question, Emma. And here we are on a Wednesday night, and I am already thinking, right, tomorrow I'll go to Biggin Hill, we do a few little tests, I'll do doing an Instagram live with one of the F3 drivers tomorrow, and then Friday obviously we go straight into FP1 and then FP2, and I do the highlights voiceover for FP2, and then Saturday obviously is FP3 and quali, so I kind of, it's kind of ramping up, and then we have a rehearsal on a Sunday morning, then we do the pre-race show, which is kind of where I'm more presenting, and then we run downstairs and do the commentary. And then, yeah, if you walked into the commentary box like 5 minutes after we put our mics down, I'm a bit like, whoo. But yes, I kind of just, what I'm kind of learning is just kind of like the story is going to come to you almost over the weekend. So there's no point, you can't prepare for the race in terms of what's going to happen on like lap 1, lap 5, lap 10. Like obviously it's live sport, so you just kind of have to let it come at you. But yes, of course, like this afternoon I've been just reading all the press releases that come out from the teams and making sure I'm kind of across all the stories that have happened in the last 10 days off the back of Imola, and just kind of following the narratives as they unfold. So yeah, preparation is key, but also just trying to take each day of the race weekend as it comes. And social media is great, you kind of follow what the drivers are up to and you get a flavor for how they're feeling going into the race weekend, same with the teams, and yeah, just kind of hope it's just a great race, but nothing too drastic, just something fun to commentate on.
You did just touch on F3 and some work you do with the other formulas. You worked on the road to F1. What was that like? And who would you sort of say shines out as a real star from your work there? And who should our listeners be looking out for? And you can't say everyone, but
No,
who really stands out?
I was lucky because I did the podcast with Jake C, and then also voiced a little bit for the F2 documentary. But I have to say, and loads of people, I don't know, people may think I'm mad, but I just really love Dan Ticktum. So that is someone I would get people to get behind. I think he is a bit spicy. He's always a pleasure to interview. Always got something to say. When I do the Instagram lives for F2, he's happy to sit and chat, and he's very honest. And I know sometimes that can bite people, but I really, really like him. I actually worked with him in the sort of earlier stages of his career, helped with like the design of his car and his helmet and things like that. So obviously with a graphic designer, because I am terrible, it would have looked like clip art if I had done that. But I was kind of involved with some of those conversations. But yeah, he's a great guy. He's super talented. And I just, I'm looking forward to seeing where he heads. And then I'm very excited about JM Correa coming back into the fold in F3. He may or may not be the guy I'm interviewing tomorrow. So yeah, I think it's such a shame, isn't it? Because the junior categories are super exciting. The racing is awesome. You know, sometimes you can have a race weekend and it's like the F2 kind of eclipses the F1 from a sort of racy point of view. And it's just a shame that pretty much, we've got to be honest, that not all of them are going to make it to F1. And that can be really frustrating. You know, we're seeing Nick de Vries go off to Formula E, and of course he's having, you know, success there, but wouldn't it have been nice to see him in F1 as well? So yeah, not enough seats, unfortunately. The musical chairs is pretty killer in F1. So just gotta, although I'm super happy about Callum Ilott. You guys are a fan of Callum Ilott? Now one of the reserve drivers at Alfa Romeo. So yeah, look, it's cool to see the guys in and around the paddock, and just hope more and more can get an opportunity. So yeah, Dan ticked him, and I quite like Guan Yu Zhou as well. I like him.
Sorry, I've just lost my question there. Sorry.
Don't worry, I might lose my answer.
I've got like 6 in front of me, and they've just suddenly all merged together. That's
Callum,
horrible.
we don't ask questions. It's a natural conversation. Come on.
Yes, of course, yes. Of course, yes. I like to prepare, though. That was it. So what are your thoughts on the current season? Are you swaying towards Lewis or Max? Now, forget about your Mercedes.
Yeah, right. I'm not like
loyalty.
Secretly, like, you know, I'm not a fangirl. I'm a professional. So who am I rooting for? Is that what your question was?
Not necessarily rooting for, but who do you think is going to come out on top is more the question. So even if you did support Lewis, do you think Max has realistically got a chance to come out on top?
Yeah, I do. I do think he's got a chance to come out on top. I think huge relief there from Callum. He's like, yes.
Good answer. Correct.
Well, look, I don't know who will actually come out of the season as world champion, but what I think is super exciting is I think what we've already seen is going to just continue throughout the whole season, which at the end of the day, if we just get sublime racing for 23 race weekends, that's okay with me. I don't really mind who's accepting the trophy at the FIA Awards, wherever they may be, however they may be carried out at the end of this year. I just think if we can have tense racing like we've had so far, then that's awesome. It's super tight. It sort of feels, it's weird because Red Bull have come out much stronger than in previous seasons, which is really exciting because it's taken so long for them to catch up every year. But equally, the problem, and it's a weird word to use, the problem is when Mercedes are on the back foot, that is almost more dangerous. And it's also when Lewis is on the back foot, he's more dangerous. So it's kind of, you've got kind of 2 different scenarios. And we know that Mercedes have a bad weekend and they come back and get a 1-2. You know, when Lewis is struggling, he charges through the field and takes the win. So you can throw anything at Mercedes and I know they'll bounce back. The change this year is that Red Bull are already way ahead of where they normally are. So Mercedes are usually kind of okay to have a few moments because Red Bull take a while to get themselves up to speed. But yeah, this is the year where that's not probably the case. But if that means better racing, woohoo, I'm all for it. So yeah, but you can still be excited though that Max may be the winner. Who knows?
He's going to win. There's no question for me.
What about Checo? Are you a fan of Checo or are you just a Max? Are you a Red Bull?
I'm just a Max fan.
Just a Max fan, Mad Max.
Yeah, that second seat just gets changed all the time. I can't really commit to anyone in that seat, so it's just Max for me.
I don't know if they're coming or going, do you?
Can you imagine the people who are like, right, I'm just going to be the other driver Red Bull fan, and every time they're just like, oh, another top, help, I need more kit, Yeah.
You'd have to be pretty wealthy to support that second seat, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, well, I hope for Checo's sake, I feel
so we've got it here.
Go. Is there a freeze? Sorry.
No, I was going to say we've got Callum here, who's like a huge Max Verstappen fan, and then we've got Ollie, who is the biggest Lewis Hamilton fan I know. So you can imagine what the conversation is like in the Formula Nerds group chats at this moment in time. The 2 of them are like loggerheads all the time.
And what about you, Emma? Though, who do you support?
I'm a huge Daniel Ricciardo fan.
Okay. Well, that's cool then. I think he's going to, he'll be on the podium before long, I think. Lando's shown it's possible. I think Danny Rick is
definitely.
G1 in Papaya.
Yes. Yeah, the two of them roll their eyes when I talk about Daniel Ricciardo. So having Michael Italiano on the podcast was something quite special for me last week.
Yeah, I can imagine. He's he's like a star in his own right after Netflix.
He is. Yeah, he really is. So we just sort of touched upon the sort of junior series with Formula 2, Formula 3, but we also have W Series joining the Formula 1 support categories this year, which is so exciting. I followed W Series since it started in 2019. But what are your thoughts on W Series joining the junior series, and is it something that you're really looking forward to watching this year? Are you getting involved in it in any way?
So to answer your last question, no, I'm not getting involved in it, either as a driver or any other way. But I will be definitely watching it. I'm quite offended they haven't asked me to drive, actually. The things I can do with a Golf. But no, I'm really looking forward to watching it. I think it's super cool that they're obviously supporting Formula 1. I think they kind of need to be there because it kind of helps cement that position it needs to have as a sort of road to F1. We sort of built F2 as the road to F1, but W Series needs to be taken that seriously as well if we are going to see a female driver in Formula 1. And obviously the road from W Series may go through F2 or F3, F2 and then to F1. But yeah, I think bringing it closer to the F1 world and circus is a really great idea. And I think it's going to be cool. We're going to see them racing on some really great tracks. But yeah, are you a Jamie Chadwick fan?
I am a big Jamie Chadwick fan, but I'm also quite good friends with Sarah Moore, so I'll be cheering her on as well.
Yeah, no, there are some really great drivers, and it's just going to be really interesting to see how the season plays out. And, for the drivers themselves to be, the team principals in F1 are busy over the weekends, but to be kind of somewhere where the team principals can be looking and the teams can be watching, that's amazing as well. That kind of helps just shine the light on the series a bit more, and hopefully will provide opportunities for them, in the coming years.
Yeah, that's quite a good point, actually. There's something that I've explained to lots of people who don't really understand why we're segregating women and men in this sort of series is I kind of feel like even in F2 and F3, it gives all the teams an opportunity to see a different sort of talent pool. And it also gives them an opportunity to see women, driving these F3 because they're F3 spec cars. So it gives them an opportunity to see a woman driving these cars. And the women driving will have lots of opportunities to even get seats in F3 and F2. I believe that, that could possibly happen this year as well. I don't think anyone in the current grid of W Series will get an F1 drive. I think it probably happen in a few years' time. But I think there's a possibility for the current drivers to get into seats in F2 and F3 as well.
Yeah, and I think it's important that it isn't rushed. I think, if Jamie Chadwick had won W Series and suddenly found herself racing in Formula 1, I don't think that would have actually been a wise decision. I think she needs to take the time to go through other categories and to get to Formula 1, because otherwise you then run the risk of people going, oh, maybe the old school of thought, oh, see, that's why they can't race in F1 or whatever. So I think it's really important that, yes, W Series exists and we have some great racing in it, but I don't think we should just kind of plaster over the issues and be like, cool, well, let's just shove them in F1 now then. That would be that'd be to no one's benefit at all. So I think and also it's just more seats, isn't it? We've already spoken, there aren't enough seats in F1, there aren't enough seats therefore in the junior categories. Everybody's wanting to be in these hot seats in the motorsport world. So yeah, if we can get some more people showcased, then that's fantastic. But yeah, I think it's going to take time, and I think it would be foolish to be like, perfect, cool, W Series solves the issue, and once all those girls have graduated or women have graduated from W Series, they can just go into F1. That's not the way to solve not a long-term problem, but we need a long-term solution to a problem that's been going on for a while. So yeah, it would be, again, just fascinating to watch all of the competitors in W Series this year, but then also what happens subsequently as well, because I think that's then super important as well. Can't just kind of like fall off the conveyor belt.
So you mentioned there that there's not enough seats in Formula One. Do you think that there could ever be a time where we see more teams come into the fold, so maybe even 11, 12 teams on the grid to give more of these younger drivers and women drivers a chance?
I hope so. And I think with the budget cap coming in, it obviously makes it more affordable for the big OEMs, manufacturers who may now have a bit more of an appetite to commit to something like Formula One, which potentially in the last few years has become unattainable or something that they can't commit to. And, obviously coronavirus has maybe hampered a few of those hopes and ambitions. But yes, I would hope that with the price to play coming down, then more people would like to play. So I don't see anything wrong with an 11 or a 12 team grid. And I think that would just be more exciting. We see more drivers on the grid in F3 and F2. So yeah, it would be great. It would be great to have more people, I think.
Well, we were at the supercars the other day, and there was 50 of them going around. I thought that was bloody fantastic. Maybe we should get 50 F1 cars.
My brain would explode commentating on that. Oh my God, I almost got a nosebleed in Imola on the first lap as it was.
Yeah, exactly.
Wipers from my television screen. I was like, I can't see anything. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Momentary lapse there from me, but yeah, it's fine. I don't think I sounded like I swallowed my tongue for the whole lap, just perhaps a couple of corners.
whilst we're talking other series, before we go straight back to F1, I just wanted to get your thoughts on Formula E. Obviously, that's a bit of a next generation with obviously the electric power, but also what was your take on Extreme E?
Yeah, Extreme E, my goodness me, I wouldn't have wanted to drive in the desert like that. The visibility, I'm talking about not being able to see what's going on down to the first turn at Imola, freaking out, and I was in a commentary box. How those drivers navigated the course, should we call it the course? I don't know. It looked like you could go anywhere. Unbelievable. And some of the crashes were quite terrifying, to be honest. But I think it seemed quite fun. It seemed quite fun to watch. I didn't watch all of it, I have to be honest. But we've got some cool. Sebastian Loeb is one of my favourites from my work in WRC. So to see him racing, it's just always a pleasure. But yeah, I think it's weird, isn't it? How you've got Rosberg, Hamilton, Button kind of going up against each other in a championship. That would be an interesting one to see, because Lewis Hamilton doesn't really like to lose.
No, and he did.
Rosberg.
And he did.
Button. So it was cool, but I'm looking forward to the upcoming rounds. It's an amazing concept, isn't it, really? So it's a real kind of whole new community they've built. So yeah, a really, really cool idea. Quite like to go on that boat, the St. Helena. Is it St. Helena? St. Helena? Is that like that?
I think it is, yeah. I really hope that F1 pay attention to it and take something from it.
Yeah, it's really cool. There's definitely, there's a lot of drive towards sustainability in F1 at the moment. Obviously, Extreme E has taken that on a step and has sort of been born out of an idea of really tackling that. So it's just different, isn't it? Because F1 has a very different sort of footprint. But I'm amazed. And also, I just think more racing, the better. You can't really complain. So, hopefully even more excitement to come with them.
I just think some of the tech behind it is just absolutely amazing. I did a feature on it for our website last week, and I'm just absolutely bowled over at the amount of work that they've put into it, trying to get sustainable energy, like this completely clean energy with the batteries, and the tires are made out of dandelion rubber, and an example, I think, to the other motorsport series as well.
Although we have got new materials in Formula One now, you can use hemp and bamboo, I think, was it? I can't quite remember. I remember.
Is that James Hunt?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing all those materials roll out. But yeah, you're right. It is amazing. It's a whole new world, isn't it? Really, that Extreme E have kind of unveiled to us all. But yeah, I kind of wonder again. What would season 2 look like? And are they going to choose different areas because you don't want to go back to the same place? So yeah, be interesting to see how it all unfolds, and the drivers who see it and get excited by it and want to therefore be involved with it. And does that mean more teams, or you know, is it something that Lewis Hamilton's going to commit to indefinitely, or is he, you know, going to move on to something different? So we'll see. Yeah, it's exciting to see all these new projects come out in the motorsport community. More racing, more excitement.
So going back to F1, which is obviously why we're all here, you've spoken to, dare I say, every single driver on the grid, probably many times.
I'm trying to make sure I have, though. Hang on. Yes, I have. Yeah.
I was quite confident when I said that.
Well, no, only because I haven't been at the tracks yet, and I was like, oh, I have. I went to Bahrain for testing. I was thinking, have I definitely spoken to them all? Yes, okay, I have.
So you get to see a lot of who they actually are as people, rather than just what everyone sees on TV as well. I mean, obviously it's a mixture, but who really has been sort of your favourite person to sit down and talk to? Not necessarily about Formula One, but just as a human being. You know, who have you really gelled with?
Well, I don't think he might be saying this, and he probably wouldn't see this as a thing, but I seem to live quite near Nicholas Latifi in London. And the other day I was having a coffee and a huge slice of cake outside, because obviously that's what coronavirus does to you. And it also makes me eat a lot of cake, as it turns out. And he just came over and was like, hi. I was like, oh my God, hi. And I thought that was just so nice that he had bothered to come and say hello, because he could have easily just walked past and gone off and done what he was doing. But he came over, said hello, we had a nice chat. It was before the season even started, before testing. So I thought that was really lovely, just to show kind of a human side to these drivers, because more often than not in the paddock, you know, it's kind of head down, quickly get from the hospitality unit or the building to the pit building, whatever. But I just thought that was a really nice thing to do. Didn't need to do that to little old me. And then always love having a chat with George Russell and Alex Albon. Oh, bring him back. But yeah, I think also because I've kind of, I was old, but like we grew up together through F2 into F1. I feel like I was the grandmother, but you know, I kind of like the fact that they always were a bit more open in the junior categories. So then you kind of keep that relationship as they move up into the top echelon. So yeah, George Russell, love. And then who else? Esteban Ocon, always a delight to sit and chat to, always gave me the time. You know, I was like kind of pacing up and down the paddock, being told just to like fill for time and thinking, oh goodness, who can I talk to? You know, there would be Esteban. I go, can I quick word? He's like, yeah, of course. So we'd have a nice chat. So he was always great. And then I'm trying to think of others.
What about Kimi?
Kimi and I get on absolutely famously. Love a driver parade with Kimi Räikkönen. I don't know if you saw, there was one, I think it was in China, 2019 it must have been, where I'd legitimately, because I think some people probably think I make it up, but I had a dream that Kimi Räikkönen was my neighbour. Pretty sure it was a neighbour, yeah. I remember what I said. And I thought, I'm going to ask him on the driver's truck, just like catch him unawares, just go kind of random, go left field. I mean, honestly, I think he thinks I'm mad. But sometimes that's the best way to approach things, because you know, if you ask the straightforward, like, you know, you're starting from P12 today, what's possible? He'd be like, well, it's a car, blah, blah, blah. So you're like, great, thanks so much. So yeah, you kind of hope that if you kind of go in with something different, perhaps he'll respond, but equally, he may not. So you just have to chance it. So yeah, he's hilarious. But I love, and obviously it's his wife and his children, so he's going to be in great spirits. But I look at all the stuff on social media with Mintu, his wife, putting up lovely things of like them all chilling out in wherever they are. And I'm like, God, he looks so like happy and carefree and he's laughing. And then literally in the paddock, I'm like, come on, Kimi, I want home Kimi here at work. So yeah, he's a cool guy. I do like Kimi.
There was a podcast Tom Clarkson did with Kimi. I forgot, which one was it for? But anyway, there was an hour-long podcast with Kimi, and I thought, cool,
on the grid.
That's the one, yeah. And yeah, what an assignment that is, an hour with Kimi.
Yeah, he was good though. I thought he was good with him.
I did enjoy that. I thought it was really funny. I did.
I think also, you know, if you're going to tell Kimi Räikkönen you're going to do an hour's podcast, I think maybe he's asked to do it and has to do it, but I don't think he's going to he wouldn't do it if he wasn't committed to doing it. And he's a good bloke, and Tom Clarkson's lovely. So yeah, he's great. yeah, Kimi Räikkönen, goodness me. It'll be sad when he goes actually from the paddock, because I think he's such a character that we sort of forget how much he brings to the paddock, even though it's a joke about how much he doesn't chat, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I think we would miss him a lot, definitely.
Who is the standout driver for you at the moment who's up and coming? Who do you think is going to be the next Max Verstappen or the next Lewis Hamilton? I've personally got my eye on Yuki Tsunoda. I think he's going to be a really, really bright talent.
I just wish my wonderful colleagues in Team Radio, I wish they didn't beep it out. I'd love to hear how he swears and what he says, all those words. I mean, he's ferocious. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think he's definitely one to watch. And I'm really glad, actually, because I think there was so much chat about it, like, oh, he's only coming into F1 because of Honda. And actually, I'm really glad he's come out super punchy and super on it. And yeah, okay, he banged it in the wall in Imola, but I think that shows that he's massively pushing. When you've got some of the old guard, I mean, I know they've only been in the sport a few years, but, you know, you've got the sort of Carlos Sainz's and the Daniel Ricciardos and Sebastian Vettel's to saying, like, I'm a bit tentative in my new car and I'm trying to find the limit. Like, Yuki's just like, I'm out, I'm going for it. Like, watch me take off the back of this car. So yeah, props to him for going out and getting the job done. Yeah, he's really cool. And then, but I mean, I think Charles Leclerc's probably already in that category of the Max Verstappen lot, but I feel like he's the one that is just, yeah, he's wrangled performance out of that Ferrari last year where you just didn't think it was possible. And this year, I think he'll have a really good stab at it this year. But it's tricky, isn't it? You know, I'm sure maybe you guys had it at school. You thought you were quite good at something, but you just happened to be in the year of the person who was really excellent at it. And you're like, God, I'm not going to be the best. And I feel like people like Max and Charles and Daniel Ricciardo, you know, there are a lot of people there that 10 years ago you may have said, probably not, well, maybe 10 with Max because he was so fabulous even when he was little, but, you know, you would have thought, oh, they'll be champion like material. And then you just happen to be in the class of Lewis Hamilton and you're just like, oh no. So yeah, I don't know, Charles Leclerc for me is an excellent person to watch driving a Formula One car. And he beats himself up so badly. I mean, a bit like George Russell, but yeah, and maybe George Russell would probably put in that category as well if he gets I'm not going to say decent seat, you know, if he gets that Mercedes seat next year.
So what are your thoughts on sprint races? Because that's something that's kind of, I'm not going to think that the fans are quite divided.
Emma, start again.
Am I going to start again?
Yep. We
just lost your voice.
Sorry, my internet connection is just like keeps dropping in and out. So
don't worry.
I just wanted to get your thoughts on sprint races because it has divided fans. I don't want to say it's like controversial, but they've been wanting to change the format of a race weekend for a while, and we had talk of reverse grid races. That was something that, you know, not a lot of us were a big fan of, was reverse grids, but you know, they've come up with the idea of sprint races. It's going to be at a few races in 2021. I know that Silverstone has now been confirmed that they will be hosting a sprint race. Do you think it's going to work? How do you think you're going to see this going?
I don't think Formula One would mind me saying this. So I don't know if you listened to the explainer video, but that was me voicing it. Anyway, I had to do the voiceover. I had to do the voiceover a fair few times because things kept changing. So for anyone that thinks it's just like, should we do sprint qualifying? Yeah, all right, let's give it a bash. Like, they've been taking their time over it. Formula One, especially led by the likes of Ross Brawn and Stefano Domenicali, like, they're not just going to do something random that's going to sabotage the sport. They are thinking about this. And I know it's easy sometimes as a fan, if a new idea doesn't really wash with you. My God, I thought you were like a dragon then, Callum. Sorry, I just have to explain that you just exhaled your... what's it called? E-cigarette.
I literally
do apologise.
I literally just messaged him and said, "Stop it."
Yeah, I do apologise. I'm very unprofessional.
Not at all. No, I love that. I just only looked at the screen. I was like, "What is going on?"
When I'm muted,
catching fire.
when I'm muted, I just forget everyone else is there. I just go to my own little bubble. Sorry.
I don't know. Maybe I should try that in the commentary box. Just freak out my co-coms.
Yeah, it works.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. So yeah, going back to the sprint qualifying. So they're not going to do something that threatens the sport. But as a fan, I think if an idea isn't up your street, it's easy to be like, oh, they're just trying any old thing, any old gimmick, it's awful, and kind of just sort of hate on it early doors. So yeah, my first thing would be, this has obviously been something that's been spoken about for a long time. Even when they thought they'd got the idea, I think there's been a lot of rumination around it, and they're kind of trying to work out how best to put it into practice. And also, let's not forget, it's not 23 races of this new format. We're not just totally turning the sport upside down. It's a few, it's a trial, it's something different. It's, I don't think it's, I may come back to eat my words on this, but I don't think it's going to change anything in the championship necessarily. We would hope it's not going to like jeopardize that. So I think we need to give it a chance. And I think, what I don't want, we saw with the qualifying change a few years ago with sort of people just not going out and not doing stuff. We don't want to get to that stage where teams are just not even competing in it and stuff. I don't know. So I think let's give it the benefit of the doubt. As I say, I don't think the likes of Ross and Stefano are doing it to annoy anybody. They're just trying to do something, positive for the sport, which may not be something that we all pursue for the rest of the time the sport's around, but we've got to try these things, I guess. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my informative description of sprint qualifying.
Please check the description for details of where you can listen to it.
It was very informative, because even I was struggling to get my head around how is this going to work. Yeah. So I did sort of like shop around, shall we say, for information, and did my own sort of research, and I did listen to it. It was very informative, so thank you.
I think it was recorded in my car, but there we go.
Blimey, that's where Callum usually does his podcasts from.
It's amazing. It's super quiet in my car. So yeah, lots of voiceovers are done there.
The acoustics in a car are actually very good. It is a fact. God, you've just thrown me now. What was I about to ask you? Oh, yes.
Professionalism, do you mean? Yes.
Has the embargo been lifted on Canada yet? Can we talk about that?
Yes, it's gone right now.
So, we've just found out that the Canadian Grand Prix has been cancelled. Sorry, Callum, to keep you up. And we are going instead to Turkey, which I'm very happy about, because I think everyone enjoyed it last year. Rosanna, are we going to see a repeat of last year? I can't imagine it, but what do you think?
My goodness. It was poor Valtteri Bottas. I think I called him Kylie after that. Kylie spinning around, because he did so many spins on that racetrack. It was awful. Poor bloke. I don't know what happened. He just got like spinitis.
Spinitis.
Is that a thing? It is now. Yeah, but I think it was tricky, wasn't it, for the drivers? I mean, goodness me, the asphalt. I think they'd like watered it as well. So it wasn't great. And then, yeah, a lot of spins, and they were just like driving on ice. But yeah, it was a magnificent weekend. My goodness me, loved it. So if we can have a bit more of that, although I don't know if you guys are fans of Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve, but that's equally as impressive. So it's a real shame not to be going to Canada, but I think great that Formula One have managed to fill the gap. So we'll still get the full works in terms of racing. But, fingers crossed for 2022, we'll be back in Montreal. Maybe even we'll have Turkey on the Canada next year as well. More the merrier. Bring them in.
Bring them in.
Let's hope so.
Bring them in.
Bring them in.
I'm using Kylie Minogue, by the way. We have in our group a very, very big Valtteri Bottas fan.
Oh no, I'm just
the only Bottas fan in the world. So
I've literally just sent him a message, and I've said, you are gonna love what Rosanna Tennant's just said about Valtteri Bottas.
I'm just looking up. I got a message afterwards from Andrew Shovlin from Mercedes, as you guys will all know. And he was like, can't believe you did a compilation video of Valtteri and his spins. He's seen it, Don't panic though. I'd offered to make a video of them all, and he'd said he'd like to see it. Turned out you'd already done one. I was like, ha ha ha. I'm calling him Kylie from now on. And he was like, good plan. Feel free to take the mick out of him. He's earned it.
Well, Dan earns it every day as well for being a Bottas fan. So, hand in hand there, isn't it?
You can be called Kylie from now on. Poor Valtteri. It's just one of those races, I think drivers say, once you start, You just can't stop. So yeah, Rob Smedley said, I think it happened to Massa, and Rob was like, you have one of those races and you're just like, right, we need to just put that one in the bin and move on. So yeah, poor BB.
Oh dear,
it's
going to take me a while to get over that, Kylie. That is brilliant. We came up with so many different ones, but we just didn't get Kylie. I'm disappointed in us.
You're welcome.
Okay, so time for the prop.
Oh gosh.
So every week, or nearly every week, I ask a guest to step into my motorsport time machine.
The officially branded that you've got there behind you.
Yeah, it's my own personal. I made it with some masking tape and a Sharpie. The Sharpie's here. If you could go if you could go to any era of motorsport and watch any race or talk to any driver, anywhere you can think of in any discipline, where would you go and why?
Oh my goodness, this is a tough one. So I have to put my hands up and say that I only really got into F1 in March 2013, which was my first season in the sport, which is a bit mean because, well, not mean, a bit unfair because my brother loved it forever. So we always had Formula One on in the background. So probably since the early 90s, maybe it was on in the house. But I really started taking interest in 2013. So this is a bit of a cop-out, but I would actually say, can I go back to 2013, Melbourne, and actually talk to the drivers? Because I used to work for Pole Position, which was a YouTube channel, and they wouldn't let me in the paddock with my camera. So I used to have to stand outside and not make up, but like report on what had happened in the session. And it was such a faff. And all I wanted to do was go in and talk to the drivers. And I was in the paddock, but I wasn't allowed to film in the paddock. So maybe if I'd gone back there and actually kind of started chatting to them earlier on, then yeah, my job would have been a bit easier. So I'll go back to the beginning of my time in F1, if that's all right, just so I can kind of understand it all a bit better, because I was definitely doing it from afar and it was quite stressful trying to remember like who was who and who had overtaken who and all the terminology. It's quite intense.
I'll be honest with you, Rosanna. I thought you were going to be sort of swinging off a chandelier with James Hunt or something, to be honest with you. But
well, I'll take that as well, of course. Of course. Yeah, no, that would be great. Yeah, I would like to have kind of followed James Hunt on a weekend. You know, that would have been quite a cool feature to like start the race weekend with him, you know, probably not be able to keep up with him on the sort of drinking of all the wonderful, I don't know, champagne, maybe was that his tipple, who knows? And then see how he performed on a Sunday. I would be like, I think that would be an amazing feature. So yeah, maybe I'd like that then. I'd like to do a little race feature around him. Yeah, wow, what a character. But otherwise, yeah, I think there've been so many. Well, that's what I love about my job now and being allowed to do some of them, well, not allowed to, asked to, do some of the voiceovers of all the wonderful kind of battles that happen in F1. Like, it's very educational for me as well, because it's tricky to know everything if you've not followed the sport, obviously, since day dot, but also have a relatively short history in the sport yourself. It's so nice reading about all these lovely rivalries. I think I did a voiceover last year about sort of Senna and Prost and Hunt and Lauda, and it's really nice because it starts to kind of help me build the story in my mind as what happened. So yeah, it's what a sport. What a sport, eh?
Now you've mentioned parties and James Hunt. You actually do a lot of corporate events with likes of Rolex, Shell, Hugo Boss, Land Rover, Mercedes. Who throws the best parties?
Well, see, those aren't necessarily parties. Some of those are very smart conferences.
No, they always end in parties, surely.
Do you remember, obviously, Vijay Mallya?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the party boat in Monaco. That was pretty cool when he used to invite everyone on there on, must have been Thursday night, I reckon, because the Friday off. That was pretty amazing. We got given like a scroll as the invitation to go onto the boat. And then, I mean, this is random, but like we got given a bracelet, like a very lovely bead bracelet thing. You wore that and on you went, and it was just all beautiful, amazing music, cool drinks, dance floor, everything. So that was pretty special to be in Monaco Harbour on the most amazing yacht, all, you know, very kind hospitality of VJ. So that was that was pretty cool. So yeah, back in the day when it was Force India, that was a cool boat to go on. And Red Bull also do a wonderful party as well in Monaco. That's the kind of, I don't know, if you think of like the glitz and the glamour of Formula One, it's always Monaco, isn't it? That you kind of think, well, I definitely think of maybe a little bit Abu Dhabi, Singapore, but yeah, Monaco really, really dazzles.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, were you, a little bit personal here, were you absolutely spannered on the Force India boat? I think I probably would have been. Free hospitality.
No,
Absolutely.
I know how to hold my drink in both hands. No, I was working, so I had to be very on it actually, because we were filming. So we were allowed to go on filming, and I kind of went through the whole like welcome onto the boat and got given the bracelet, and I undid the scroll and all that sort of stuff. So it was very kind of like, and here we are on the boat, and oh, you know, Adrian Suttle was there. So I was like, Adrian, hi, and chatting away and kind of running all around the boat. So no, I kind of kept it together, which is very professional, I know.
I wouldn't have done.
No, I wouldn't have
I
either.
wouldn't have done.
You put me on a rowing boat and I'll take it too far, let alone a yacht in Monaco.
Oh gosh, don't get you to Henley then anytime soon. Yeah, no, it was amazing though. All those experiences are incredible. But I think that's the thing. I mean, I'm sure there are people that push it, but you are working, and also it's a bit mean on the fans in the morning if I rock up stinking of, I don't know, Sambuca or something, be like, you all right, having a fun time? They'd be like, whoa. So,
Monaco though, isn't it? They probably expect it.
Yeah. Some years when I've been, you know, having a great time, but I get teased because I always wash my hair and make sure I'm kind of trying to, you know, make the best of myself, shall we say, the next morning. Because I just think, gosh, imagine if you were too hungover to kind of do a good job. There are so many wonderful people out there that would definitely do better on a Sunday morning than me with a hangover.
Well, lucky you're there to do it and I'm not, that's all I'll say.
No, but I mean, you can really enjoy it as a fan if you come. You can like have a great time.
Oh yeah.
Work some of the races and then go to them as a fan.
Yep. As soon as FIA give us that accreditation, we will do.
We'll get an email into them.
We will. We have a little thing for our intro, Rosanna. Would you be able to say, hi, I'm Rosanna Tennant, and you're listening to the amazing Cut to the Race podcast? In your own way, of course, not what I told you to say.
Yeah, no worries. That's absolutely fine.
Go on.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Rosanna Tennant, and you are listening to the incredible Cut to the Race podcast.
Yes. Boom.
Is that all right?
She has a podcast voice. She turned it on then. Did you hear it? That was like full radio
went up
voice.
at the end. Went up at the end, I think.
I talk like this normally. But,
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Another shot of testosterone, off I go. All good.
Well, we are just about out of time, Rosanna, but it's been lovely having you on and hearing some of your funny stories as well. You shared a few things I didn't expect you to, such as the old Bottas Kylie. I think I will forever laugh about that. So thank you very much.
No worries, absolute pleasure. So nice to meet you all.
Thank you, and we will certainly see you again and have you on again. But for the people who want to follow you, want to check you out, social media and all of that good stuff, where can they go?
Well, I feel a bit too old to do TikTok just currently, but I am on Instagram at Rosanna Tennant and on Twitter at Rosanna Tennant, but I'm probably a bit more active on Instagram. So give me a follow on there if you want to see what goes on behind the scenes in Formula One.
Thank you. So yeah, everyone head over there. And before we leave, can we just have your championship predictions, please, in terms of who will be the world drivers champion, who will be the constructors champion, and will McLaren or Ferrari take third?
Right. I think, because I love a fairy tale, I think Lewis Hamilton will win his 8th world championship. So he will take the biggest spoils. I think. Okay, I'm going to go.
You're not going in the time machine again now.
You're going to lock me in the time machine. Send her back to 2013. She's not welcome here. And then I think I'm going to go controversial, and I'm probably going to receive hate mail from any of the colleagues that I work with at Mercedes, but I think Red Bull might get the constructors. Ooh. And I think I think McLaren are going to beat Ferrari because I think they just need to slow and steady, consistency, reliability, and I think McLaren may have that over Ferrari this year.
Well, to our listeners, you heard it here first.
And I hope Nikita Mazepin finishes a race sometime soon because that would be excellent.
Do you? I'm not sure many do. Wow, and on that note, we will leave it there. But thank you so much, Rosanna. We would love to have you back anytime. You just let us know and we will be here waiting.
Thank you so much, guys. So nice to meet you all. Thank you for all the questions. And yeah, perhaps another visit to the time machine sometime soon, Callum.
No, that's it. You've ruined it.
Burn the bridge! Burn the bridge!
Burn the bridge! I've even ripped it off the wall. It's gone.
There is no way back now.
Thank God. Thank God he has.
Thank you so much, guys. See you soon. Hopefully at a track rather than virtually.
Definitely. Well, actually, we'll see you on the back of a yacht in Monaco. How about that?
Definitely. It won't be my yacht, so we'll have to beg and borrow, but we'll get there.
Come in my rowing boat. That's fine.
Yeah. What I'd have played with dinghy if you're up for it.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much.
Cheers. Bye-bye.